Welcome to the Hero Front Podcast, the 2022 Veteran Podcast of the Year winner. I'm your host, Josh White, and I talk with heroes around the world to inspire, educate, and to remind you that you are not alone. My own personal journey was marked by struggles like depression and alcoholism, which led me to almost lose my life. Now, after years of working on myself, I'm now blessed to say I have an abundance of pride and purpose, and I have made it my mission to share and spread these lessons by having insightful interviews with inspiring individuals, emphasizing trust, transparency, and meaningful conversation to drive positive action in our lives. Above all, I aim to inspire you to unleash your inner hero. We all have it in us, and it's time to bring it to the front lines of our lives. Let's get after it. Welcome to another episode of Hero Front, where we delve into the lives and stories of remarkable individuals shaping our world. I'm your host, Josh White, and today I'm honored to be joined by a true leader in the military community, Chief Master Sergeant Nicholas T. Taylor. Chief Taylor serves as the Command Chief Master Sergeant for the 36th Wing at Andersen Air Force Base, Guam. In this role, he stands as the foremost enlisted advisor to the wing commander, overseeing the well-being, readiness, and development of over 8,000 military and civilian personnel. With a deep commitment to service and a wealth of experience, Chief Taylor embodies the values of leadership, resilience, and family. Through his leadership, he navigates challenges with grace and determination, inspiring those around him to excel in their duties. Chief Taylor's influence extends beyond the base as he collaborates with senior military leaders and community partners in Guam, contributing to the success of joint missions and strengthening relationships within the Indo-Pacific region. Today, we have the privilege of delving into Chief Taylor's insights and leadership, family, resilience, adversity, and personal relationships. As we embark on this conversation, we aim to uncover the wisdom and experiences that have shaped Chief Taylor's remarkable journey. Without further ado, let's welcome Command Chief Master Sergeant Nicholas Taylor to the Hero Front Podcast. Chief Taylor, thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, it is an honor to be here, and that was an amazing roll-in that you gave there. Boy, I was like, who's this guy he's talking about?
That was you. Hey, when you retire, put me in, Coach. I'll be at the mic. I'll be at the podium. You want to say hi, Summer? My kids like podcasting too. As you can imagine, I'm teaching them how.
Hi, she's so cute.
Thank you. He said you're so cute.
I know.
Oh, wait, hey!
Oh, wow!
She takes after old man. No. That's because I tell her every day.
Yes.
I tell her every day. But this is my Summer Rose. She's 6. She wants to be an actress. She's and a scientist.
Okay.
What play are you in?
Annie.
She's in Annie.
Oh, nice. I remember
young.
when my daughter was 6. My daughter's 25 now.
His daughter's 25 now. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
I look older than him. How do you do that? Okay, hey, I'm gonna get back to this, okay? Okay, love you.
Bye. Bye.
Your foot's stuck. Ah. All
That's
right.
so cool.
Shut the door, please. Hey, you said family was on your things of importance, so I figured perfect timing.
Yes, perfect timing. Love it.
Okay, so let's make the first one an easy one. You love running, right?
I do.
You're killing the game. Just running circles around people, figuratively and literally. Where did that come from? Where did that passion of running come from? And have you ever ran professionally in races, etc.?
No, I tell you, I haven't ran professionally, but I've been running for, a number of years. I wouldn't say that I was a runner in the beginning of my career. Something I can always do. I mean, when I was a kid, running outside, played basketball in the street, do all that kind of stuff, and I was running, playing baseball. And so running was not hard for me as a kid. It was something that I was fast. I always been quick. Now, as you get older, your body changes, so not as quick as I used to be, but I'm all right. And so I would tell you is that what I learned about running is running becomes the time where I can really meditate. It's peaceful for me. I can really think through what's behind me. I can reflect. I can think through, the possibilities, what's in front of me. It's really my meditation time. It's my time to really de-link from everything, right? Because I'm not looking at my phone when I run or anything, right? I normally play music when I run, but be honest with you, I don't really know what's playing. That's more of something that's just playing that I run with. I run with a little vest and I stick my phone in there. But most of the things that I get, it comes from running. Most of my inspiration, my thoughts, things I'm thinking through. I'm a man of faith, so a lot of time I spend that time, talking back and forth, to my Savior during that time. But that's really my time of peace and serenity. That's why I enjoy running.
No, I love that. And my dad was a runner all throughout high school and then into his adult years. And I remember running with him when I was like 13, just trying to keep up with him. And it really does bring a certain type of peace. Like once you get good at it, efficient at it, your mind really does go into like this weird autopilot. I think it kind of unlocks ideas. And I
Yes,
mean, like a lot of like even for me, like a lot of the guests I want to talk to or the topics, like we'll just be like it'll just pop in. It's
yes.
such a healthy human thing for us to do. I feel like we were meant to do. I mean, we are meant to do that. There's no other creature on earth that can run that far.
And I feel like when I'm running, I get a download. Sometimes I got to stop and take me a note because I get so much information while I'm running. I'm like, because if I don't write it down, I'm not going to remember this.
Right. No, absolutely. Sometimes they come in too much. It's just like boom, 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 boom.
Yes, yes. But
And you're like,
it is
wait a minute,
remarkable.
where's a pen and paper right now?
Yes, I know if I'm trying to work through something that's tough and something that's hard, you know what I do? I go run.
Wow.
Any fact, I don't like treadmill running, but if I have to, I will do it. Uh, but if I'm going through something, I'm stressed, I'm trying to figure something out. It's tough, it's a challenge. I'm gonna go run because I know running is going to clear my mind. It's going to shut down everything and just give me clarity.
Absolutely. I love that. All right, let's go with question number two. How long you been in?
This year in October will be 28 years. So I'm at 27, but come October
Wow.
23rd, we'll make 28 years.
That's amazing. Let's hear about like the assignment that changed your whole outlook, the assignment that just changed it all for you. Because I feel like everyone's got, well, if you're lucky, you probably got more than one, right? But if you had to
Yes.
pick one, what would that assignment be?
Being an MTI, Andersen
Oh,
Air Force Base.
special duty.
I special duty that changed everything. I say that being an MTI, those principles I still use to today. They made me who I am today. The airmen that I worked with at the time. I mean, just I work with some of the best folks that I met. We're still friends to this day. But being an MTI, going there, leaving supply and going into that career field, you know, I would say that's the closest to being special force without being special force. I mean, you get a cool hat, you got a cool job, and you get to train brand new American sons and daughters to join our Air Force, right? And so that job just changed my perspective and put me on a different track when I became the MTI.
And I wish I could. I would if I could go back, I would do it. When they first opened it up to like tech sergeants around, or like they wanted tech sergeants, this is around like 2015. I remember being like too terrified to do it, and special duties are daunting, right? Like it's such a tremendous jump for some people. I was just in public health. I had like two airmen. If you look behind me, I did end up doing a special duty, and I was running the
I
base
see.
honor guard, right? So I went from two airmen to 60 a year. And I'm with you. That type of having all the development opportunities, so many lives you can touch and change that are because they come to you really malleable, right? And
Yes.
you could take a 4-year airman and turn him into a 20-year airman with just the mentorship you have the capability to provide in those environments. It's a real special. They call them special duties, in my opinion, because they
Yeah.
are special. They're all special.
That, that's a good perspective. They definitely special. You know what? I ran into 3 airmen they're now chiefs. Now
Wow.
that was amazing. They're chiefs now. I know I'm still here, but they're chiefs. And that one of them was actually getting ready to retire, reached out to me via email. But that part just made me smile. When I reflect on that, like, man, I had the opportunity to see them in the beginning, and they became my peer at the end. They became chiefs. That's remarkable.
That is, I can't imagine the pride that that comes with. I mean, the ripple effect that you've created will go on for decades, right? Because then you got to think everyone they impacted and then everyone they impacted and so on and so forth. And I mean, overall, that contribution, made the world a better place. I mean, that sounds kind of corny, but it's true. I mean, it really is true.
Well, I hope
That
so.
investment that you made changed life after life after life. If you really look at the ripple effect and how far that went.
Yeah, I never thought about it from that perspective. But I tell you what, people never forget you. I had a airman stop me in the airport one day, no longer in the Air Force, but stopped me. I was going through Dayton, Ohio, some years ago, and an airman stopped me and was like, "Well, you happen to be at MTI?" I was just civilian clothes and everything. And I said, people never forget you. And I was like, "I was MTI. What year?" I told the year. She's like, I believe you used my MTI. I was like, "Oh, that's pretty cool." And just started off having a conversation during that time frame.
That's unreal. That is unreal. I can't imagine. I mean, if you as a TI, as tall as you are, wow. I don't think anyone
It
will
worked out
forget you,
good. It worked out good for me.
right? But as you know, some of them short MTIs are the ones that are like really getting after. They're the most terrifying sometimes, right? Um, but I never forgot my MTI either. It was a tall, skinny redhead guy named Tech Sergeant Winder, and his voice, I could still hear it to this day. I could still hear it. And I did write him when I got to my first base because I really respected the guy. I really did. I thought he was a phenomenal leader. Um, he did not write me back. I'm sure he gets it all the time. But wherever Tech Sergeant Winder is,
Yes.
God bless him and all y'all TIs. The investment you make is just tremendous. All right, third question.
All right.
I've seen you post a few like really introspective thoughts and quotes
Yes.
that kind of are telling that, like I said earlier, it wasn't easy to get where you got today, right? There were some challenges.
Yes.
I was hoping as a command chief, as someone who is at the apex of the Air Force, leading from the very front, for those who feel like maybe they're going through too hard of a time or they're failing, I thought it'd be kind of insightful to hear a time where you struggled to let us know that even though we struggle, we can still make it where you're at today.
Man, that's been so many times. But I'm gonna tell you a time that affected my whole life, and that was when my daughter died. And so, my youngest daughter passed away in 2010. She drowned, and I was a master sergeant. Had made master. I put master. Actually, I got hired to be a first sergeant. So I actually was on my way to first sergeant academy. You're talking about a life changing event for me and my whole family, from my wife, from my older daughter at the time, life changing event. And I would tell you is that during that time frame, I did want to quit. Like I want to quit everything. I want to quit life. I want to quit the Air Force. At that point, just full of emotion. It's directly in front of me. It's fresh. It's new. My daughter died. It's real, and now we have to bury her. This is tough. Now,
Yeah, man.
how do I work through this? And then it's this first sergeant thing over my head. Do I still go be a first sergeant? I had a lot running through my mind during that time frame. But I would tell you is I had an amazing squadron commander at the time, amazing supervisor, and just everyone I worked with. We were part of a local church in the area, and the people at that local church and through in my unit, the way they wrapped their arms around us and took care of us. When I say, the Air Force is family, they were closer than my natural family to us, the way they took care of us, right? And so I know some people struggle because of experience you have from base to base, and it doesn't feel like family sometimes. But I would tell you is this event that happened to my family, the Air Force, the people I work with, I want to just say like an inanimate object of the Air Force, but the people I work with, my unit commander, my immediate supervisor, my flight commander, my flight superintendent. All those folks came to the hospital. They came to help us through the process when we had to bury her. It was all tough. And I'll tell you, in my mind, I'm just like, my first thought was like, I ain't gonna be no first sergeant. I'll be honest with you. It's no way I can go and do this. Right. But I got some great mentors that I talked to. And I mean, I talked about this thing a lot. They talked me through it. And we actually delayed our reporting because I already had an assignment. I was going to the First Sergeant Academy down in Maxwell. We delayed my reporting until I like trying to figure out what I was going to do, right? And talking with my wife. So me and my wife, we talked to this. And my wife, I love her to death. She was an airman. She did her time in the Air Force and got out. And they basically, she said, I'm with you. You know, whatever you want to do, I'm with you. You know, and that, of course, that gives my heart a rest. And, you know, talking to my daughter at the time and what does she want to do? And she's young and everything and working through that. But I would tell you, just the people that are around me, you know, good friends, you know, Master Sergeant retired, you know, Henry Evans was a great friend of mine, stood away from my today. I talked a lot to him, confided in him. My pastor, Charles Norris at the time, still is to this day, confided in him, and just other people I work with. You like, what do I do in this process? I asked lots of questions. It wasn't, I did go on to be a first sergeant, I'll tell you that, but the decision wasn't made in like a day or an hour. You know, this was over some weeks, you know, I really didn't know what I was going to do at the time. Be honest with you. I didn't know what I was going to do. I was really emotional.
No, I mean, you kind of left me speechless there for a minute. I'm not gonna lie. And emotional. I mean, my kid was just in here, so it's hard for me to not, empathize with you and feel that pain, as you told me. Um, wow. I think you're a very strong man. You and your wife's a very strong woman. I say that because, you're telling me, you weren't sure if you could be a first sergeant still. Most people wouldn't even want to be in the military at that point. I mean, let's be real. Like,
Yes.
I think it just goes to show you, like, you're a strong man. And you want to be there with people so much that you were debating on a job position when in reality, most people would just quit altogether. You know what
I
I mean?
felt
So
that.
I just wanted to tell you, you know, I'm proud of you for that. I just want to tell you that flat out. And it breaks my heart that happened to y'all. Like truly. Just because I'm a parent and I get that. I get how it feels to be a parent. And I feel like a new parent still. 6 and 4-year-old is what I have. And, you know, um, putting myself in your shoes as you told me that story. I mean, it's absolutely heartbreaking. And to be where you're at today, to have your family where they're at today, I just think I'm very happy that you found the strength in you and your family and your community, where it didn't absolutely destroy you. You know what I mean? Because that does
Yes.
happen
Yes.
to a lot of people who go through tragedy like that.
It does. It does happen to him. I would tell you is that if it wasn't for you know my faith in the community of people around me, I do not believe we as a family would be where we are today. You
Right.
know, it wasn't one person, right? It was just a group of people who just really ultimately really loved us. That's what it is. Really, really loved us. I'm gonna use that word. Who really
Yeah.
truly loved us and helped us through a tough point. I tell you, and then when I went on, and I remember going to First Sergeant Academy, and so I go to First Sergeant Academy. Um, None of the classmates really knew what was going on, what had happened, and I ended up talking about it. I actually ended up sharing it, and again, you know, people didn't know what to say, and I didn't expect them to say anything. Uh, Basically, just listen. You know, you don't need to say anything. It was nothing for them to say, but some of them couldn't understand how I was there. And you know, when things happen in life, you have two choices, right? You can keep going or you can quit. Now, I'm not saying that in the midst of keep going, you're going to struggle. It's just like running, right? You know, you done ran some, you know, and when you're running, there's a time when you're running where you, or multiple times where you want to quit, right? And I'm a runner, and I want to quit the first 2 3 miles, majority of the time. And so
Right.
I kind of mount this to this, right? I kind of used that in our situation we were in was there was a struggle to keep going, but I kept going. I kept putting one foot in front of the other, right? Until I got stronger. Yep, and this time you're gonna feel weak in the middle of it, right? You're gonna feel so weak where you're gonna feel like just falling down. What you gotta do is keep going, keep putting one foot in front of another. It is going to get better. It's probably not going to feel like it's going to get better. It's probably be a while before you actually feel like it's better, right? Because of what you're experiencing. What I would tell you is keep going, one foot in front of another.
Right. Yeah. Ultimately, you do have that choice. I believe everyone needs to take a knee whenever that hits, but
Yes,
ultimately you will have to choose how to go forward. It won't be anyone
you
else's
will. You
choice
will.
but yours.
Correct. Because if you don't choose to go forward, you're going to, and I think that's what happens is you're going to find yourself in this cycle. And getting in this cycle is going to be hard to get out of. And, we did take a knee. We took a knee for a minute. We didn't, I told you, we didn't PCS right away. We slowed down. We pushed the class dates and everything, right? Um, but you still got to make a decision. I mean, life happens to all of us. Life is hard for everybody. I don't care who you are, right? There's many airmen who have lost children too. I'm not the only one. There's a lot of other folks out here who has this testimony too, who has this story, right? But you still got to make a choice. Right? You gotta say, hey, I gotta find a way to move forward. And that's nothing wrong with going to counseling, right? Nothing wrong with getting help from people, but you still gotta find a way. Ultimately, it's you. You gotta make a conscious decision in your mind and say, hey, I'm gonna work through this and I'm gonna move forward. It's gonna be tears, frustration, anger, disappointment, regret. Yep, you gotta work through all those things, but you gotta move forward.
Absolutely. I got a bonus question for you, if you're comfortable
Okay.
sharing. Is there a
Yes.
way that you honor her memory with how you carry yourself or treat others to this day?
Yes. There's not a day that I do not think about my daughter. Denesha Carmella Taylor was her name. And I would tell you is she was probably the one guy said that he liked her because she was the guy we went to church with. He liked her because she was always friendly to him, right? And so my daughter didn't know a stranger, and I think she got that from me, right? I talk to everyone, and I get that. I got that just from being raised with my grandparents, living with my grandfather. He knew everybody. He talked to everybody. And I would tell you is that I honor her memory by just loving people, listening to them, meeting them where they are at and not in a state of judgment. Like my daughter would play and talk to anyone. And so that's how I honor her memory. It's not a moment or a minute or an hour. And again, it doesn't hurt. I don't have the pain is gone, so it doesn't hurt. But I remember her in a good way. I smiled about it. I would tell people is, every year I post about her on her birthday, which is coming up here on April 19th. And I say, don't it's not sorry for your loss. We didn't lose anything, right? I do not feel like I lost anything. And so I honor her memory by remembering her, talking about her, remember how she loved, how she treated people, her smile. I'll never forget her smile is always with me. And that's how I honor her memory.
Wow, that's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. I know it's taken a lot of, I share tough things too. I think being able to share it is healing in itself.
Yes,
Being able to comfortably articulate it helps you understand it.
yes.
So thank you for sharing that. All right, I want to get into our topics here. First
Okay.
topic, it's pretty broad, leadership. Right out the
Yes.
gate, boom, leadership. That's your life all day, every day.
Every day.
Um, so what close to your heart made you pick leadership as our first topic today?
Because I think it's in everything you do at every level. No, sometimes I think we look at leadership and we only look at the rank, but peer leadership happens more often than ever, right? You work down in a section on a small team, peer leadership is always happening. Even when you're in uniform and out of uniform, peer leadership is happening. And so that's why I pick leadership. I think it goes in, don't matter what profession you're in, there is leadership. And so I am
Absolutely.
a student of leadership. I love leadership. It's one of my favorite things. I have my master's from Triton University is in leadership, and so something that I just enjoy because I think that it is always present whatever you do. Whether you're leading a Boy Scout troop, right, or either you at home and you're trying to fix a fence with a couple of your friends, it still requires some type of leadership.
Absolutely. And you're running an entire base, which is tremendous, right? I mean, very rare position in comparison to the rest of the force. So what trait, leadership trait or attribute have you do you think got you to where you're at today to this very high ranking, high responsibility position?
So I'm saying a couple of things. For one, is this is real simple. Treat people how you want to be treated. I know it sounds really simple, but people forget that. People forget about how they want to be treated when they climb the rank. They forget. You know what I remember? I remember Airman Taylor. I remember Airman Basic Taylor. When I came in the Air Force, I had no stripes. I knew nothing about the military. You know, I had a cousin that served in the military, older cousin. He served in Vietnam. But no one else in my family was in the military. So I would argue that I'm first generation, right? And so I was green and I wanted to join. I was excited about joining. Whatever you told me to do, I was going to do. If you told me, hey, run through that brick wall, Airman Taylor, I was going to do it, right? Because I was excited to be in the Air Force. So as I climbed the rank, I always remember Airman Basic Taylor, right? He was motivated. You know, I'm still am. That hasn't changed. You know, he was a team player. He wanted to get the job done. He wanted to be treated good. And so, and you know what else I think about? I think about my daughter. Back to my daughter. I think about my daughter, and that stays with me all the time about treat people how you would want one of your loved ones to be treated. Think about it. If your daughter just came to the room and she served in the military, she decided to do that, how would you want her to be treated, right? Even when she makes bad decisions. And so, to me, I always remember that. I think about you think about your auntie, your mother, your cousin. Think about any of those people. And so I always use that. And then trust. Trust. I think trust is foundational leadership, right? And how do you build
that's
trust?
the most important. The longer I've been in, the more I value trust. Let me tell you, that is golden.
And so I always say is that when a leader breaks trust, man, it is hard to get it back. I will almost argue that some cases you don't get it back.
I think you're right. I think you have to deal with a modified approach going forward, but it never quite would ever be back. I think you're absolutely right. I mean, I'll be honest, I've screwed up. I've screwed that up, honest to God. And so I've been there where I goofed something up and, come to think, I don't think it ever was quite the same. Did I make progress and modify? Yes.
Mhm.
But did it ever reach its full potential? No. Some things are just not forgivable. And I say that because we have an important mission. We have high values. We value trust, but our relationships are pretty brief. If you think about like the PCSing we do and the moving around we do,
Yes.
we experience little things, but in our head, we kind of magnify it because we know our time is limited. So we take all the actions pretty seriously into heart.
Yes, yes. And so that's why trust is so important. So you're right. So when you join a new team, organization, whatever you join, how they treat you when you first get there, you remember that. If someone doesn't meet you at the airport, if you're a brand new airman, no one make sure your room's scored away. You get there, you ain't got a room. You remember all
Mm.
those things. All those things amount to trust, all right? Or you something that's simple. I won't say simple, but you having a pay issue and no one helps you with your pay issue. You ain't get paid for 6 months, right? You know, your leadership don't know someone in your family died and they didn't ask you no questions, or you those things are break trust, right? And so I think trust, when I think about that, I think treat people how you want to be treated, and I think of trust when you ask me that.
You know what?
That
I've never shared this story. It just kind of reminded me of a few times. I'm gonna share real quick. It has to do with trust, relationships, and the impact that you've had, even if you don't realize it. But I had an airman who got into he was a very nice, hardworking guy, lots of potential, but he had a little bit of an ego, right? And a young man getting after it. I mean, we've been there. But this led to him getting a very expensive car and a very expensive house because he just wanted that look. Uh, didn't do his finances right and put himself in a pretty bad spot. Well, I kind of caught wind of this and I found out that he couldn't even afford food. So
mm,
I did a grocery run for him. Of course I talked to him about finances and what his options are, but ultimately I couldn't let this kid go home not having food, right?
yes,
So I did a
great.
grocery trip for him and he was appreciative, not as much as I thought that was okay. I wasn't doing it for like props. I was doing it because I needed to look out for this kid. Well, like just like a month ago, he actually emailed me, right? And he's in OTS now and he's about to be an officer. Yeah.
Nice.
And he's like, because I never thought that that was an impressionable thing I did on him that he'll never forget. I didn't get that vibe. But apparently it was because he wrote me back and he's like, that type of investment, I never forgot. I carry it with me to this day, and it led me to becoming an officer. And I was just like, holy cow, like that's wild. So I just want
See,
to
you
share
said a
that
key
story.
word. You said a key word there. You said investment. And my think about it. When you spend time with airmen and stuff like that, you are investing in them, and you don't really think about that investment either. It's kind of like when you invest in your TSP. If you use that for example, you put that money in there. You don't really think about it, right? Until years later, until it comes to fruition and it's going to grow. You know, whether it's an RRA or whatever, right? It's that's what you're doing with airmen. Each time you do something for them, you're investing in them, and they don't forget that. It's like when I was an MTI. Those folks remember me. And many of them said comments to me is that the things that we learned in basic training, they made me who I am today. I never forget you because you invested in them. You don't think about it, but you're making huge impact. Those small ripples become big ripples, over years. That's a remarkable story right there.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I thought you would like. I thought this was a perfect time to share that.
I love that. I love it.
All right, let's see. Second topic here is the importance of family, which we touched on a little bit.
Yes.
One question I have for you on family is, I feel like if something traumatic happens or something very demanding happens, I feel like if you don't have your family squared away or on lock, then you might fall apart. I feel like a lot of the work from my own experience comes from the front end. So when something inevitably challenges you, it doesn't completely shatter the family dynamic. What's your thoughts on that?
I agree. My family is my priority, right? Um, so many times I watch people in their career get that flip flopped, right? Because hopefully the hope is that when you get done with this, your family is there, right? And you have a relationship with them. And so um, you have to invest spending that time with them and enjoy spending that time with them, right? When I think back on my family, when both my girls, they were little, I think about I loved every moment spent time with them. Like I was a kid just like them. If we go to the park, I'd be playing on the slides with them, right? I'm sliding down a slide with them. What we doing? We're running. I'm chasing them around. We have an amazing time. So when I had to deploy, I never forget this. When I had to deploy and go down range, my daughters they would write me letters because in them days we were still writing letters. And when I was deploying in the early 2000s, right? You weren't in the
And
Air Force yet.
and those phone cards. Remember those phone cards?
Yes, phone cards. Yes, we were still doing that. Now that you don't use that no more. Now you just use your smartphone or
Right.
whatever. But my daughters, they would write me letters, and I still have some of those letters,
That's
and I still
special.
have them pulled out sometimes. I look at them, but they would write these letters to me, and it always make me smile because of the time that I invested in them, the time that I spent with them. Right. So during a hard time when I was deployed, they would remember that they would feed on that. Right. So when I came home, man, they were happy to see me, my wife and everything, my daughters. It was a reunion. And so you're right. I think that the time you spend, because there's gonna be being in service is hard. We need to be honest with that. When you're serving, it is not easy. It's hard because service asks a lot of you, a lot of sacrifice, a lot of commitment, a lot of times away, right? And children don't always understand that at all, right? I don't know sometimes if they ever understand it. Um, and hopefully, if they get adulthood, they would. They look back and say, "Now I understand why mom and dad was gone all the time." And sometimes it breaks families up. And so what you do when you're home, don't spend all the time at work. Leave work, right? It's going to be there. We're going to be there tomorrow. If no one is dead or bleeding or whatever, leave. Go home. Go to every. If there's something going on in school where your kids are doing a recital, you should be at that recital in uniform, sitting there in the middle of the day. You should be there. Tell your boss, hey, I need to go to this, and the good boss is going to let you go. That's what a good boss is going to do. And I'm like, hey, you need to go to this. And so I think all those things matter when you talk about family and you talk about service because our way of life is different from civilian way of life. Completely different. It's not the same. It's not even comparable with the things that we get asked to do. I'm saying asked, but we get ordered to do. We get asked to do as service members. If that makes sense.
Right. I mean, and then, I don't ever want to forget what it was like to first join. And I say that because, when we first joined, like, it's our norm now, right? Like we have a different life now than when we first joined. It's been enough
Yes,
time.
yes, yes.
And I never want to forget what it was like when I first joined and how it felt to leave my family and everything behind for a new life.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like we've come to terms with that. But like when it was fresh, I mean, that's a huge decision. I
Yes,
remember
sure.
being on CQ duty in my age tech school
Sneaky
on
dude.
my birthday on nights, just watching an empty hall,
Yes.
thinking like, did I make the right choice? It was a lot of time to think. It was quiet. It was my birthday, and there's no fanfare. Right? It's my first birthday away. No happy
Yes.
birthdays. No, oh my gosh, here's some present. Like, and that was hard. I'm not even gonna lie. And so, whenever we get like a lot of new folks, I see a lot of them get discouraged because we kind of forget that sacrifice and what that really means and what that felt like. We can't ever forget
Yeah.
that. If we need the empathy to connect with them and understand them and value them, you can never forget that sacrifice and that choice they made and how sacred that really is.
That's good because joining is really a life changing event. I mean, your life completely changed. You're doing 180 degrees, I would argue, because the level of accountability and I think about our airmen here in Guam, right? Our airmen who get stationed here, they're long ways from home, and it's extremely expensive for them to fly home. I just flew home to my daughter got married about a week and a half ago, so I flew back to go to her wedding, my wife and I, and those tickets were $2,200 a piece. To get back to Dayton, Ohio. And so our brand new airmen, we only have one airline here, that's United. So you're right. I talk about this all the time, and there's some things we're trying to work through to come up with some ways to get airmen home that's affordable. Nothing has panned out yet, so it's definitely a challenge. But you're right. I mean, you are far away from home. There's no one and especially if you're stationed overseas for the first time. And then everyone's family dynamic is a little bit different. And some people, they're happy to be away, right? They're
Mhm.
happy. Hey, I gotta get away. I came from a bad environment. I'm gonna give this all I got. This changes my life. But I think you're right. I think overall, how we treat them and when they get to their first duty station, all that matters. Do they feel like they're being part of a family? Are people checking on them? Are they getting things they need? All those things matter.
And remember, my first base was Guam, so like I was that airman.
Yeah, you want that airman. So let me ask you this: did you go home when you was in Guam? Did you ever fly back to the states on your own?
Nope. I couldn't
No.
even like I barely basically could afford the internet if memory serves me. I had a cheap little phone with no features, with like the corniest ringtones, and
Uh,
then I had to split the internet with my suite mate so we could play Halo, which by the way was like the at that time was like the worst internet ever, right?
oh,
I'm sure it's come a long way, hopefully.
I don't know. We got some challenge with the internet here. Sometimes it
And
depends on where you at. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's challenging.
the cable there was so bizarre. The cable was like some dude in a building off base like plugging in like VHS tapes and then somehow routing it to housing. Like it was like you would see like it go fuzzy where he's like taking the tapes out. I'm sure that's changed, but still,
Yeah,
like that
that's
just goes
changed.
to show you like the services, we're behind. Obviously, it's an island in the middle of the ocean. It's hard to get stuff out there, and that's why it's so expensive. It's so hard to get resources
Yes.
logistically to the island. And so all the cars are like run down. They're called boonie cars, right? They still call them
Um, they call them Guam bombs.
that? Well,
Yeah.
that
So
sounds like a shot at the bar. Let me get that. Let me get two Guam bombs from me and my buddy.
yeah,
Uh,
but they're not cheap either. I'll tell you that is that
they're
these are
not
probably
like
more.
I couldn't do it. Like I couldn't. They're like, oh, this it's just like some rundown like Geo, just some old outdated 80s car, and it's like, oh, that's 10 grand. I'm like, wait, what? No, I would walk my butt from the dorms past the track into the Mun's Aid shop every day. I was in shape because your boy was walking everywhere, and I was dodging those crows that are like, ah, the ones
Yeah.
that dive bomb
Oh
your head.
yes, stab you on your head. Yeah,
It's the thing of nightmares. I had to dodge
they
those every
are.
day.
It's
Those
a
are
trick to those. If you take a pair of sunglasses and put it on the back of your head, they think you're looking at them, and they won't
right.
dive bomb you.
That just shows you how smart these birds are. They're like the ghost in Super Mario Brothers that only chase you when you're not looking.
That's good. I'm gonna use that. They are. They are.
It's like you're in the haunted mansion in Super Mario Bros.
You have seen
I,
me running in the morning down ArcLight, and the birds are dive bombing me, and I'm trying to shoo them away across my head.
that's resiliency right there. Bro, birds attacking you, there's nothing worse. Until you've experienced it,
I
you
agree.
don't know. I've seen it take a dude off his bike before, and I was like, I got a PCS. This is out of control. These birds are
Yeah, them birds remind me of Stephen King movie, The Birds.
right. Like there's a lot of animal protection rights at bases. So there's a lot of different like I'm at Eglin, then there's bears here, alligators, bald eagles. I'm living in an outdoor zoo. There's animals all I go out back, there's just black bears just chilling. Like and they're used to people. They're not afraid of you. There's locks on all the trash cans here. But due to like nature rights and the base wanting to abide by those, nature laws, you have to find a way to coexist.
Hmm.
So
True,
bases
true.
have a
Well,
lot of different animals on them, which of course, I think shakes things up a little bit. I like it. I don't know about you, but it always comes with a funny story, like the birds trying to take your head off on a run.
do you remember the Booney dogs from here? All the dogs?
Yeah, I'm a dog lover, so I always, it breaks my heart how like they have the instinct because dogs love humans, right? Like they have been growing with us for centuries, right? So dogs love humans, and you can tell they want to come up to you, but they're so timid. It always broke my heart. I just wanted to like take care of all of them, and I know I'm not the only one that feels that way, but those dogs always have a special place in my heart too, because they don't have that human connection that I know they want.
Now, I'll tell you, some of them are tough. There's some that run in packs, and they hunt the pigs and the deer in the jungle. They'll take them down.
I don't know how they're taking out them pigs. Those things are terrifying.
Well, if you got a pack of 14 dogs, the pigs are gonna lose. They lose.
Wow, dang. Speaking
They
of the
lose.
last thing on the animals, my boy left me at, is it called Taragi Beach on base? Is that what
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
called?
On base, yeah, down at Truckee Beach. Yep.
Right. He left me there, said he'd come back. Hours go by. It's just me and like a buddy of mine. And again, it's like middle of the night. I'm like, I think he forgot about us. And that's far away, right? That's down a mountain. So if you're
It
stuck out
is.
there at night, like you're stuck, you're not going anywhere, right? There's no light.
He left
And
y'all.
and we're like, I guess we'll just, we were out there drinking on the beach. We're like, oh, at least we got some beer. Like, we'll be good. And then we start hearing those pigs come out, those boar. And I'm like,
Yes.
bro, we're about to die. Like, we
Get in
got
the
up on
water.
we got up on the lifeguard stand. We're like, we're just gonna wait for him here. Luckily, he came back. He did come back for us. But hearing those boar come out, sniffing us out, man, that was terrifying.
Wow. Now, when you was here, did you ever heard the deer? The deer, they bark. They sound like dogs. You ever heard the deer?
I don't think so. Are they regular size or are they like miniature deer?
Um, some of them are smaller, but I would say that they're not as big as like a whitetail that you're gonna see in the States.
Right. Okay. Because I do remember like a smaller breed, but I didn't know they barked. That's kind of wild.
They do. They bark. It's funny. It's not like dogs, but it's the deer. They bark.
I mean, maybe that's the point, right? Like so they don't get eaten.
Yeah.
Mother Nature's wild, man. I don't know. I think they evolved to kind of blend
Between that
in.
and the brown tree snakes,
I've only seen dead ones when I was there. The ones that got ran over. I've never actually saw one alive while I was there. Have you ever seen one?
definitely. I had like three at my house.
Oh,
My wife
that's like one of
had
the biggest snakes in the world, right?
brown tree snake. No, I don't think
I
so.
thought they were. I thought they were like they took out all the bird population there because they could like jump through trees and stuff.
Oh, you talking about as far as the population? I know the population is huge, but I don't think like size. I haven't
Oh,
seen
okay.
like a real big one at all.
Okay. So they're an
Uh,
average size snake.
yes.
Okay. I
I
know
chopped one head off.
they were wild for like, taking the bird population. I don't think they were native to Guam. I think they were an invasive species.
They are.
Yeah, so there's a lot of extinct birds that were only on Guam, but those things were such great predators. They took a lot of those birds out.
That's what I hear. That's why I heard that story too. That's what I hear.
And then I was at Okinawa next, and I had to deal with the habu snake. Like I was just snakes just
Look at you.
everywhere.
snake wrangler.
Right. But in Okinawa, they got mongoose hunting them down. They released them to the wild. All right.
Wow.
Let's see what else we got here, Chief. All right, we're gonna move on to resilience. You
Yes.
put resilience on the list. Why is resilience important to you?
You know, you heard my story earlier, right?
Right.
Things happen to all of us in life, and I think that in the military, having a family, or even if you're single, uh, you have to be able to be resilient to get through the many challenges, whether it's deployments, whether it's training, TDYs, setbacks, and or injuries from staying in shape to be able to pass your physical fitness test, or just hardship. And so I think resiliency is important for all of us. So that's why I shared that. I shared my story earlier, and I think in the middle of resiliency, you have to make a story. You have to make a conscious decision too, right? That I'm going to work through this, right? And I think it's what resiliency looks like. Yep, this event happened in my life. It's very hard. It's like when you don't get promoted. You got to work through that, right? That can be you could have had several great years, and you think you're lined up and everything, and then all of a sudden you didn't get promoted, right? And what do? I mean, first thing you want to do is I'm done. I quit. I'm not going to do this no more. I'm getting out, right? We all do that, no matter who you are,
Right.
But it takes resiliency to work through that and say, you know what? Let me reflect. Let me calm down. Let me talk to some folks, and let me refocus, and get back in it. And so I think resiliency is important in each and every area of your life. It's not just in one area of your life. I think it's in all. That's the reason I put resiliency on there.
Speaking of resiliency of hanging in there when coming up short for rank, now that social media exists, you see more of those talks, right?
Yes.
And I kind of theorize that, thinking back to when we first joined, before even MySpace came out,
Mm-hmm.
when someone promoted, I mean, it was like onesie twosies because you're only seeing like your section, right? But think about it
Yes. Yes.
now. Like, let's just use senior master sergeant as an example. A very small percent of people make it that far. In the scope
Yeah.
of things, that's a small percentage. Yet, if I get on Facebook, I feel like the whole damn world made it and I didn't.
Of course you do. Yeah.
Right? I'm like scrolling. I'm like, God, oh
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
God,
Yeah.
I'm the only one that didn't make it. It
Yeah.
feels worse than the reality really is because you see it more often and all around you when you look on your phone. I just
Yes.
theorize that that's kind of like mess with people. It's messed with me. I'm not gonna lie. Like that's when I noticed it, right? It's when I kept coming up short for master, and when your buddies, that you were dogging on them like 2 years ago because like you
Yeah.
surpassed them, and now they passed you, and you're
Yeah.
just like, okay, that wasn't supposed to happen.
Yes. Yes.
But
Yeah.
that's when I noticed, like, looking at my phone and seeing it everywhere, it makes it feel so much more defeating than the reality of the situation. But for anyone, struggling with their resilience on wanting to quit or get out because they feel like they've done everything they've been told, because that's the complaint. Hey, I checked all the boxes, I did what you said, and I still didn't do it. What
Yeah.
next? What do you tell them?
So this is why I say, like I told you earlier, keep going. And so I was a first sergeant. I spent about 6.5 years as a first sergeant. And being a first sergeant is tough to get promoted. It's tough. It is not easy at all. And so, you can have, that coming into first sergeant career field, first time there, you go up. For me, I didn't get promoted. All right. I'll go up the second time. I have strat. I have first sergeant of the year. Had that previously. Guess what? I didn't get promoted. Right.
Wow. At that point, who is getting promoted? You were first sergeant of
Right.
the
But that's how you feel, though, right? And
right.
so what I say is that you got to keep going. Even all your emotions going to tell you, because we're human beings. We're all of us is real. Things happen to us, right? And so I think it's natural for you to be frustrated. I think it's natural for you to be disappointed. I don't think that's a unnatural thing. If you think back to how you were when you were a kid, when you didn't get what you wanted when you was a kid, right? You were disappointed when your parents told you no, you couldn't have it. You was disappointed, right? And so I think it's a natural thing. But the resilience part of that, or the conscious part of that is that, okay, all right, after I done went through my morning party, right? Now let me go back. Let me talk to my mentor or my mentors. Let me look at my records. Let me look at where I'm at in my career. What do I want? What's my goals? What's my dreams? What's my ambitions? Do I still have it in me to keep going? And so I think you got to take all that and wrap that all together. I don't think you can just take one thing, but I say keep going, right? And so that third year I tested, I made senior, right? And so keep going. I've never made any strike first time, right? And I know sometimes in our society, not just in the military, but we think faster is better because the culture teaches that. But that's not true. Steady.
Right.
It's gonna be all right. You'll get there, right? I
Yeah, there's a
learned
theory
more.
that, oh, go ahead.
I learned more in the years that I didn't make it than the years that I did make it.
Oh,
Because in the
amen to
years that I
that.
didn't make it, it made me reflect more, and it made me go back and relook at a whole lot of things. But when you do make it, you don't think about that. You just on top of the mountain dancing.
Right. Yeah, it brings me back to, my pursuit for getting master sergeant. First of all, I think if there is a thing at caring too much for promotion. I think I didn't know what my value was, and I got tied up in the rank is my value,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's gonna burn a lot more when you don't make it if your whole value of yourself is tied up in your rank or an award. You know what I mean? If you're confident in what you bring to the table and you're confident in yourself and you know yourself and you take care of yourself, you're not going to be as broken down and wanting to quit because you didn't make a rank. You know, when I look back and I see other folks around me, and I always try to talk to them about it, especially if they're frustrated. Like you're letting the situation bring you down, but like really, like what's different if I put it on you right now? Would it change who you are? It wouldn't. You're still you. So I think we get tied up because our rank is visual. In the civilian side, you don't know sometimes in a big company, you don't know who's who. You might know like your boss and the CEO, but not everyone's wearing a rank. So you really don't know where they stand. Right. But with us, it's visual. We see it. And so I just try to remind people to just know their worth, know their value, and their impact, and not get so tied up in their identity with their rank. As soon as I made that switch, then I got picked for honor guard, and then I made master sergeant. It was like right away,
Yes.
And when I look back, I was like, man, I was trying for the wrong reasons. I was trying because my buddy beat me. I was trying because I felt insecure because I was feeling some kind of salty way, and it made me bitter, and it made me worse off. I probably would have made it a lot sooner had I not been so bitter the first and second time. So I
And a lot
say
of
all
what
that
you
for anyone that's struggling to make rank and wants to quit. Just don't forget your worth.
like that. And I think what you're saying is a lot of what you talked about. It came through reflection for you, experience, and wisdom. What I think that all of us need in our life is we need that mentor that we can go to who's going to give it to us plain, clearly, and be able to say, "Hey, it's going to be okay. Calm down." And that comes through experience, though, right? You need someone in your life who's going to, be honest with you and kind of give what you gave. You just gave a very thorough, reflective perspective, right? And using lots of wisdom, right? And you're right. Your worth and your value matters. I always think about whenever job I did, I tried to be the best airman I could at that job. Whether I was in supply, whether I was in MTI. I mean, I love doing, I love being MTI, I love being the first sergeant. This time in supply, I didn't enjoy being supply. But what I did enjoy, I enjoyed taking care of airmen. I enjoyed making sure we get the mission done. I enjoyed those things. I enjoyed the moments that we spent together. And so you're right. What I try to do is, you always got your personal goals. What's your personal goals, right? You always have those, and if you have a family, you reflecting on your family too, right? And so all those things I think work together. But you're right. If you tie everything up just in rank, you are going to be a very frustrated person, and you're going to be misaligned.
Yeah, and you mentioned another thing, caring about how you are as a husband or father. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. My wife pointed out once, like, "Hey, you really care a lot about work, but do you care about your value of a husband or father? Like, how do you feel about that?" is that on your radar? Like she called me out on that. And I was like, dang, like I really did put all my eggs in like one basket. You know what I mean? So there's being successful isn't just your rank. It's,
Yes.
being a father, being a husband or a wife, taking care of yourself,
Yes.
reading, educating yourself, getting a degree. Like there's so
Yeah.
many other areas of success that you could be blind to or miss had you get so tied up in the rank, like your boy did.
That's
And
good
I'll
because
fully, I'll fully admit it.
success looks different for all of us, right? Some people their goal is somebody's success is, hey, I want to make master, I want to retire from the military, and there's some other things that I want to do. It looks different. Some people's success says, hey, I only want to serve 10 years and then I'm gonna get out. I'm gonna do something else. I want the experience. And so we can't project our image of success onto someone else or grab someone
Absolutely.
else's idea of what success is. And I think in our society, in our world, just because of what's in front of us, we have the propensity to do that. You see people doing it a lot. And so my question, like you, is to people is, what does success looks like to you? Only you can define that. I can't define it for you. Only you can define that.
Absolutely. And you know what? You remind me of another thing. I just talked to another senior the other day because I've announced retirement, which I'm excited for. I'm ready for that next chapter. And what I've learned, part of me being a podcaster and kind of a public affairs type of role, I've learned about myself that I really love doing that. And I'm in a position where I can just go do that now, right? I can retire and I can go do what I love. Um, and what I learned through that experience is that not every skill that you have might be a promotable or desirable trait in the military, and that's okay. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean it's not value added. I was talking to another senior NCO. Yeah, I tried this, I tried that, I never made senior. And I'm like, but you did this, you did this, you did this. Like, those are valuable things. They might not be able to get you promoted here, but like that doesn't mean you can't retire, walk into a company and absolutely crush it with those skills, right? So
Yeah.
different jobs call for different sets of skills. And I think it's really important to not forget about like, oh, just because my content creation and interview skills might not get me promoted in public health, that's okay.
Mhm.
It's still value added and I can still use
Yeah.
that.
Yes. That's good. That's very good. I like that.
And you
Yeah,
got
I
me
like how you
opening
put
it up. I feel like you're like my therapist right now. Just got me reflecting. Okay, this is a good one. Adversity.
Mm.
I'm really curious. Anytime like a command chief or someone who's killing the game brings up adversity, I want to hear it. I want to hear why that is close to your heart, why you put that on the list today.
I think we all face it. Why it's important to me. We all face adversity. I don't care where you're from. I don't care your background. You are always going to have adversity in life. You're going to have adversity in your professional career. You're going to have adversity in your relationships, whether you're married, whether you're single. You're going to have adversity, and you cannot expect to live a life without it. I think the key to adversity is when it happens. I think adversity is a learning situation or a learning opportunity, right? When something is put in front of you, a brick wall or an obstacle, and you're trying to get to a goal, and you're trying your best to knock this wall down and it won't fall down, right? That's adversity, right? Or you was hoping something was going to happen and it didn't happen the way you wanted it to happen, and so now you find yourself in this adversity. What do I do when I'm here? And so I think that sometimes in our society, we kind of, in our world we live in, we kind of teach that everything is going to be easy and everything should work out for you, and it's going to work so good for you. And that's not the truth, in fact. Everything that I learned, I think about everything that I learned in life, my best moments was in adversity. It didn't feel good, right? When I didn't get to go do what I wanted to do, or something I wanted to work out and it didn't, I look back on it and how I worked through it. Now, in the beginning, I was frustrated, but then when I began to think about it, reflect on it, and maybe it's a year later, sometimes it's 2 years later, maybe 6 months later, it's like, man, boy, if I wouldn't have went through what happened to me, I wouldn't have learned what I learned or gained those skills that I need for the next season of the journey that I'm going to go through. If that makes sense. And so when I talk
Yeah.
about adversity, I think about adversity in that aspect of it.
Yeah, you know what? You just struck me with something as you were saying that. You find out what's worth fighting for. without adversity, you might not have a lot of dedication towards a particular goal or even know which direction to go. But once you start facing adversity and you start really putting yourself out there, you kind of start to realize what's worth fighting for, what's worth
Yes.
showing up for, what you really want. Without taking that chance or facing that adversity, you might never find that out about you, and you're just kind of floating through life, just wondering what to do next. So, um, and that happened to me. I'm not gonna lie. The first 10 years I was in, I was opposed to adversity. So much so I didn't get out of my comfort zone at all. And I was miserable. I had no purpose. And so I started taking baby steps, getting after it, getting after what I want. And of course, whenever you go for something you want, you're going to run into roadblocks. That's when I started really learning what Josh really wants in life.
So adversity, I would say, gives you an opportunity to change. Because without it, you continue doing what you're doing and you won't grow. It's kind of like when your kid come to you and tell you, "Hey, dad, mom, you're never around." Right? That's adversity. It should hit you in your heart, right? And it
Right.
should first thing you should do is you should reflect. You shouldn't get angry about it. You should reflect and look back at your schedule and say, how much time am I spending away from my kids or at home, or am I going to events? That's adversity for you right there, right? Now you got to figure out how to work through it. So when adversity presents itself, I say it's an opportunity to change. And then what you got to do is you got to build a strategy and be conscious about it, right? You'll be conscious about that thing and say, okay, I am going to actively make this a priority, and I'm going to work through it and work at it. It's like if you're struggling in physical fitness, you need to do better at your run or better at push-ups, right? That's adversity, right? Or if you got an injury right now, I've been working on an injury that I've been dealing with probably for the last 6-7 months, going to physical therapy, right? That's adversity. But as you can know, I still get after it. I still get out there. I still run. I'm still in the gym. But I am working through it. I made a conscious decision. I'm going to listen to what the physical therapist is telling me to do. I'm going to do the exercises. And I'm going to keep moving forward, and so I can get better.
Absolutely. Have you ever faced adversity coming up in the ranks to get to where you're at today?
Definitely. Um, I, I faced adversity as a chief. When
What?
I was yes, 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 yes.
Oh, wow. That's surprising.
When I was competing um, for command chief, had another chief who you know basically told the wing commander that my record was not good enough for me to be a command chief. Now this particular person, uh, we had a disagreement. We had some run-ins that we had some disagreements on some admin stuff, and they took it personal, as obvious, right? They took this very personal because I didn't agree with their position on the admin, and I was not going to change my position on it. And they were my group chief at the time, and I disagreed with them. And I said, well, I don't, basically think I need to change. Well, some months later, I come to find out that this person tried to put up a roadblock and said that my records was not good enough for me to be a command chief, and that basically advised the wing commander that they should pass on me. And so that's
Hmm.
adversity for you.
No, that's real
Now,
tough. Yeah, we don't always handle that the best way too. I mean, it really hits you, right? It's you feel like there's an injustice on you, and
oh, yeah, definitely.
it's really easy to go from 0 to 100 and something like that.
Yes, yes. So I tell you, I was upset about it. I had to calm down. I had to think this thing through, right? And what I had to do. I had to reflect. I remember is that my character, right? Everyone knows me. They know my character, right? They know my records. None of that. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to prove anything. I don't have to go out and have a big ad out there. I don't have to defend myself because my character is going to defend me. My behavior, my performance is going to defend me, right? And so, but initially, yeah, I was definitely upset about. You know what? I was more disappointed than upset that another chief would do something like that, right? And someone who
Right.
had been in longer than me too, been in Air Force longer than me, I just expected more that they wouldn't make that personal, and they made it very personal over a disagreement over an admin product.
Right. So I think I mean, you kind of nailed something I brought up earlier. You knew your worth. You knew your character. And that takes a lot of effort and work though, right? It doesn't just come to you. You know,
Nope.
I think you've earned that by showing up time and time again. You sat back, you thought about it, and you said, you know what? I put in the work. I know my worth, and I have faith that some words won't change their mind based on what I've shown them.
Yes.
So how if you don't mind me asking, how did that it play out?
So as you can see, it worked out. I'm a Comanche to this day, right? So as you can see, it
Okay.
worked out very well.
I wasn't sure if that was like a long time ago or what, you know what I'm saying? I wasn't sure. So, yes, you were a command chief. And so the way you handled that, you could have went in two different directions, right? You could have had faith in yourself and the work you put in, or you could have said, I'm confronting this person, I'm gonna blow up. I'm gonna go nuts on this
Yes.
this dude, which I'm be honest, we've all felt like that sometimes when we really get, we feel and we betrayed. It hurts. That really hurts, and good on you for taking a back seat for a minute. I would assume you probably talked to a mentor. I would
Oh
assume
yes.
maybe. Okay.
I talked to a lot of people. I talked to a lot.
Right. Like
No, no.
that helps. It helps
Yes.
so much to pause and talk to someone. There's certain situations that emotionally trigger you and you need that different perspective because you're not in the right, no matter how smart you are, no matter how talented you are, there's certain situations that will put you out of your element and you're not thinking clearly. And you need someone who you trust to help guide you with those next steps. And I'm sure, you relied on those folks to help you out.
No doubt. And I would tell you, experience has just taught me this, right? Years, because in my earlier part of my career, I wouldn't even kill at all. I'm ready. I'm ready to go off. I'm full throttle. In the earlier part of my career, right? But I think I will hope that as you get older, as you learn more things, as you surround yourself around, good mentors, people you can talk to, you can really like share like your real self with and say, hey, I'm struggling with this, and this is why I'm struggling with this. I think everybody need that person where you can just like tell everything to, right? And say, hey, and then that person will tell you, hey, that is pretty crazy what you're thinking, right? But you need that person where you can just unload on them the craziest thought that you don't want to tell nobody, but you'll tell this person. And in my life, I have that person, right? I can call them and I can tell them the craziest thought. Hey, I got this crazy thought. They'd be like, hey,
They're like, I
you
don't like that
are
look in
way
your eyes.
off. Yeah.
You're like,
You are
hey,
way off.
hey, what do you want to give them a shout out? Whoever that person is?
Yeah, Master Sergeant retired Henry Evans. So that's my
That's
man.
awesome. I love
So
giving shout outs here on Hero Front, that's showing people some love.
definitely, definitely, definitely.
That's
But
awesome.
yeah, I mean, when those situations happen though, and they don't continue to happen in your life though. This won't be the last, it'll happen again. Human beings are human beings.
And different levels of responsibility are going to require different types of adversity.
Yes.
So if I were to tell myself something in the past, because I thought after Honor Guard, I was like, that's it. I figured it out. I've unlocked it. I'm good forever. Obviously, I was not correct, right? Like different
Correct.
missions, different people, different responsibilities, they're going to drive different challenges. So you always got to be, you're never going to hit the finish line. You just got to be ready
Nope.
for whatever it throws at you, right? But you're never going to
Yeah.
really cross the finish line.
And I think you gotta learn to be quick to hear and slow to speak. And because
No,
what
that's
happens
good.
is many people are the opposite. They just speak first with no thought put to it, not understanding or listening for clarity and understanding. And now you find yourself in a situation like you don't mess it up now, right? And so I've learned over the years is just study to be quiet. It's good to be quiet sometimes. Silence doesn't mean that you're weak. It doesn't mean you lost. It doesn't mean that at all. It's not about winning or losing, right? And so I'm a reflector. I like to reflect on things and think things through. I'm a thinker. I do a lot. I mean, sometimes riding the car with no music on is the best thing ever because it allows me to reflect. Sometimes when I leave work, well, a lot of times I leave work, I don't turn on music on. When I leave work for the day, I'm driving home. That's my time to reflect on the day. What happened this day? What things could I have done better? Because I'm always trying to be the better version of myself, right? You know, how could I help someone better? Wait, did I look at this through the right lens? Because we all have biases, all of us. Whether you want to admit it or not, we all got them, right? And sometimes we look at them through the wrong lens. And so uh, that's why you need those mentors in your life. You need those coaches in your life, right? People who can really give you trust. They can really give you the honest feedback that you need for you to grow and develop and be able to really reflect, right? If you don't, because if you don't have that person, you're not able really to reflect and break down, those conscious and unconscious biases that we all have, whether we want to admit it or not.
Absolutely. Well said. And that brings us to our last topic,
All right.
relationships,
Oh,
which we're just
love it.
talking about mentors and having them as a soundboard, having us think clearly through tough situations. That ties directly into relationships. Outside of that, how have relationships impacted your life as an airman, as a command chief, etc.?
Man, I would say relationships of everything. I mean, I think it back about anytime I'm trying to get something done in the Air Force, I get it done through relationships. If I'm trying to help an airman, it's because people I've met years ago. I mean, I could have met them 15 years ago. We could have been airmen together, but like I know them well. Like we're friends. And so when you call a friend, it's different when you call somebody who's not a friend and you asking them for some help. Completely different situation, right?
Right.
When I call a friend, I mean, we're gonna laugh, talk about some other things, and I'm like, hey, by the way, this is what I'm trying to do. What's your thoughts on it? It just flows differently. So I think relationships are everything. It's how you get things done. Your community relationships. I mean, if you are a leader in any capacity, you need to have community relationships. Doesn't matter. When we're trying to help airmen at base X and everything, who do you know in the community? I mean, do you know the local mayor? Do you know the local governor? I was just dealing with a situation that we got some cars that dumped outside Andersen. You probably remember this from your time stationed here, the abandoned cars, right? And so
And somehow they just catch on fire too. I've
they do,
you
they
you
do.
leave your car in a random spot, you're gonna come back to a big old fire. That thing's just, and I don't
You
know who lit it, but it happens.
or all the doors and the wheels going missing too. That too. So
That and the fire.
yes, but I went down to meet with the mayor of Yigo, where the base is, and I went down to meet with him, and he was very defensive at first, and when it came down to it, he felt like the relationship had failed with the sister squadron, which was not true and everything, right? And so I began to talk to him like, okay, we began to talk through it, and I began to break down the barrier. But I tell you, when I got there, arm was folded. I mean, he was defensive, right? But
Right.
just by talking to him, at that point, we're developing that relationship. How can we work together? And give him some perspective. No, that's not what happened. He's like, oh, okay. And so I think that we're now able to work together. We're trying to get rid of some abandoned cars, but relationships always matter. That's just an example of how important relationships are, right? I mean, your relationships with your friends, they matter, right? People you met along the way in the Air Force. Your relationship with your spouse or your loved one, those things matter. Relationships are key. They are essential to you both. I think your personal success and your professional success. We get things done in our Air Force through relationships.
I learned that at base honor guard, trying to reformat the whole program because a lot of things fell off the rails a little bit, and I didn't know the first thing about like the armory or like just so many vehicle maintenance and all. But you know what? I did have ammo airmen. I did have vehicle maintenance airmen. I had comm airmen. I said, you know what? I have everything I need right here.
There
Like
you go.
everything I need. It doesn't have to be on my shoulders to do. I don't know anything about it. So I used those airmen and they absolutely killed it. Like, I mean, phenomenal to see them empowered and to run with like they created their own little like inspection binder for the armory. They knew exactly how to get the ammo. They knew exactly how to pass the inspections. The vehicle airmen helped get the vehicles fixed that were broken
Yeah.
for so long. Had a comm airman that set up like a security system because our building was basically unsecure at all times. He got some equipment from the fact that they discarded, hooked it up himself. I mean, it was wild to see. Had some airmen that knew how to sew. They fixed up a lot of the uniforms because those are hard to come by, either through finance, through funds or just availability for ceremonials. but they knew how to sew. So like they fixed all of our cold weather gear so that our airmen weren't freezing in the wintertime. They could actually wear the coat. And I that's when relationships opened my eyes. Really was that experience.
And that, you know what, and what you described, that works in every scenario too. When you think about it, even on the, you think about relationship I have with all our joint partners here, right? We have our Army, Marine Corps, Navy, Coast Guard, and all those. My equivalents, I have a relationship with them, and so when we're trying to get things done, what I'm helping him out with a Marine or helping him out with a Coastie, or with a sailor, it's because the relationship we have with each other is how we get those things done. And then across my wing, all my chiefs, they're my peers, but I have a great relationship with them. We come together and we're trying to solve things. I call them up, and then we talk through it. So everything we do is about relationships.
With relationships, I noticed too, like especially getting the new chief master sergeant of the Air Force. Um, now that I've been in a while, I've been in 19 years, uh, I noticed we have to start over a lot, right? Like the relationships aren't set in stone because we're moving, we're
Moving.
turning and burning, right? We're moving, it's always moving forward. We're getting we have a cap to our service. We're not in here for our whole life. 80 years old, still wearing the uniform. That's not us. That's not how we're designed. So a lot of the relationships, unfortunately, like they're personally your friend. Of course, you're gonna stay in touch with them forever. But as far as like your work relationships, um, I noticed it is challenging to stay on top of it sometimes when they cycle through. Have you ever dealt with that yourself where you're like, dang, like we got a whole new direction now. Like we got to start from scratch. Like how do you, is that something you've noticed and how do you go about that change?
So that's hard. So it's like going through commanders, right? We had some challenges out here, and I've had some multiple commanders, and that was hard because I got to develop a relationship with each of them, right? And I also, as the when you sit in these positions, you have to relationship with subordinate commanders and all of them too, right? You have to develop a relationship with them, right? And it's very challenging, right? But you got to find something. I'll try to find something that I can talk to them about, something that we may have in common, or a lot of times, it may be sports because people love sports, or it may be food, it may be cooking, and so I try to find whatever that avenue is,
Common
begin to
ground?
have a conversation, yeah, common ground, begin to have a conversation, to develop it, because that way you don't want to just come with them with a problem at first, right? And so when I get on
Right.
the ground, I
That's
try
true.
to immediately develop a relationship with every commander I can initially. That's always been my goal, is how I develop these relationships right away, because they're going to matter. But it's challenging because personalities are different, right? Especially when you go from commander to commander, right? When you transition and the commander go in a different direction, right? And so you got to be in lockstep with that commander. You got to go in that different direction too, right? And
Right.
so you got to be very flexible. I think as when you are a senior enlisted leader, no matter what level you got to be extremely flexible, to be able to advise that commander, give them good sound advice, because that commander is your teammate. You all are working together. But there is no easy feat, because you can go for someone who's really people first and people focused, or someone who's just completely mission focused. And sometimes you get someone who has the perfect balance, right? And you in the middle there, trying to be that person that balance all of that out to make sure both mission and people are being taken care of. And so I won't say that it's not easy. We'll say that it's hard, extremely hard, because I think you have to always, y'all have to be conscious of it and focused on it. That makes sense.
Absolutely. I noticed it the most with the new chief master sergeant of the Air Force, just because I've never known one before. I'd say the one I first met was Chief Wright, which was unbelievable. I got a picture with him in our honor guard. Like it was like I was told that wasn't possible. Oh, he's never going to visit your honor guard. Come on. That's little stuff. Then to see him there with all, and I invited all the past honor guardsmen, and to get him in the middle and yell sharp, crisp in motion, like it was like a literal dream come true. So he was my first experience to spending time with the chief master sergeant of the Air Force. I also went to high school with his sister, which is just a random, crazy, weird thing. Um, and he threw me off too. He snuck in close. He's like, "Hey, Keisha says what's up," and I was like, what? He caught me off guard. Um,
Wow.
so I got to know him, and that was really special because I've never even met one before until that point. And then with Chief Bass, I got to actually spend time with her. Um, I went to AFA when she was still running the Second Air Force and just happened to be seated at her table. Talked to her the whole night. You know how she would feature airmen even back then? She'd be like,
Yes.
"Oh, I was on that. I was one of those people." So like I got to really know her character, her vision. So when she was selected, I was like thrilled for her. And I feel like we both have a social media presence. We both I got along with her very well. And then when she left, I was like, dang, like I'm still friends with her. I always will be. But that's really when I
Yes.
noticed like we're changing. The winds have changed. The winds
Yes.
have just
Yes.
like that. It's changed. You know what I mean? Um, and I thought, for senior leaders, like that must be because I just got a glimpse of it, right? I haven't worked for a wing commander and then another wing commander. Like that's got to
Yes.
be a whole nother level of flexibility, right?
It is.
And you must be like, you guys are like masters at relationship building. Like you know how to develop trust quickly. You know what I mean? I've seen y'all do it. I've seen just the special ways that you can connect with people knowing that the time is limited and you need to make time count right now. I've seen that's a special craft that y'all have at that level. I don't even know if you realize you're doing it.
But I think what you got to do is you got to connect fast too. You hit it on hell. You hit it on the nail. I mean, you gotta connect fast. I mean, time you get to you get there, you immediately you and your boss, you're trying to link up with your boss immediately. You're talking to him, and then you can go TDY together. So that provides lots of opportunity. Car rides together, ceremonies together. It provides all these opportunities, and you kind of begin to see who they are, and then you just start to pull out little nuggets, find out about their families, about their career, about their path, about their personal life. And I tell you, it happens fast. you know Before you know it, you're like, man, we've been together 8 months. Man, I know a lot about this person. That's because you all are doing so many events. You're traveling together, you're doing ceremonies, you spend time with airmen together, you do so much together. But you don't really
Right.
think about it. I feel like it. I won't say it naturally happens. Maybe it's by design it happens
Gotcha.
because you do so many things together.
Absolutely. That's amazing. Hey, I want to thank you so much. We hit all our topics here.
Awesome.
What an incredible talk with you. I hit you with the random questions at the beginning and it got deep right out the gate. And then we hit all your really awesome topics: leadership, family, resilience, adversity, and relationships. Pretty much timeless human and airman things that will always be everything you just said. You could say 100 years from now, and it would still apply because it's those tried and true leadership philosophy that I'm just so thankful that we got to hear someone special like you in the position that you're in with the experiences that you've had. I can't thank you enough for just giving us your time and sharing all that special information. I'm proud to serve with you. I think you're an incredible leader, an incredible man. To go through the things you've been through, you and your family, and to be where you're at today is such an inspiration to so many people. I just want to personally thank you, Chief Taylor, for sharing your story and spending time with me and the thousands of listeners that will be hearing this episode.
Well, I am honored to be here. Thank you for reaching out. Thank you for the opportunity. Just to be part of your journey. I've been watching you for a while, so I watch all the people you interview, and I get to be one of the lucky ones because I never thought I'd get this opportunity. And so I feel blessed for the opportunity for you to reach out and ask me to do this. I feel honored just to share my Air Force journey and some wisdom that I learned along the way. And I'm grateful for all the people, all the airmen I met. In uniform, out uniform, people I met in communities. All those folks shaped me to who I am today. And so I'm grateful for that. I'm humbled for the opportunity. I'm humbled the opportunity to still serve as a command chief in our Air Force and to serve with my fellow chiefs. and really, I'm still having fun. I'm still loving being an airman. My grandmother always say, "You ain't gonna leave the Air Force." She said they're gonna have to wheel you out there in a wheelbarrow, and I said, "No, I'm gonna leave eventually." And so, really, again, thank you so much for this opportunity. It's been an honor.
Absolutely. And we can tell you love it. I mean, like I said, the energy you bring, the smile on your face, it's so appreciated, more than you realize. So we're very blessed to have you. And for anyone still listening, thank you so much. This was the hero's journey of Command Chief Master Sergeant Nicholas Taylor, and we're out. So my Guam is a special place in my heart. Okay. It was my first base. All right. This is July of 2004. First base. I went there with like I was aged before. So I went through 6 months of tech school, which doesn't seem that long. Of course, at the time when everyone has like a 1 month tech school, you feel like you're there for like 10 years, right? You're seeing everyone graduate, coming and going, and you're just that crusty age tech schooler. And I went with pretty much my whole class to Guam. To this day, don't know how that happened. It's such an unusual thing, right?
Yes.
Including my best friend Ronnie, whose retirement I'm going to in Washington State, April 4th. I'm so fired up about it. You know, we've been at since basic tech school and Guam. So I had the time of my life. I was the male escort in Miss Liberation Day Parade. I was in a rock band called Faded Memories. I was at Live House just getting after it.
Live your best life.
It's because the drinking age was 18 at the time. So it led me to get wild.
That explains it.
Did I also get in trouble? Yes, I did. I learned a lot of lessons. You know how sometimes we get real lucky when we look back, and some people don't get lucky. They make one mistake, it just don't play out right, and that's it. Yes. I got lucky like 5 times in a row. So, I think maybe because I was maintenance and it was 2004.
So yeah, things have changed.
It was just a bigger force then, and different climate, I feel like it was more forgiving then. Probably the farther you go back, the more that rings true. And then as we go today, it's just the professionalism, the expectations are just much higher. So I could say I'm blessed that when I joined, I did have that extra level of forgiveness because I'm still here today. And I learned a lot from that first base. That was I want to go back so bad and just see it like one more time, maybe take my kids and my wife out there, but I definitely got to get back out there. And I want to give a shout out to Major Vega. She's in public health.
Okay.
That was my old flight commander at Whiteman when she was a captain. She's from New York. She has her major's in like dance and theater, so a very different approach than most officers. But she's like the kindest, one of the best leaders I've ever had, and she's out there in your neck of the woods. But hey, Chief Taylor, thank you so much. I know it's bright and early for you. You just woke up, got the uniform on, and you already jumped on Hero Front. So I just had to tell you right out the gate, thank you so much for hopping on here today.
Well, it's an honor to be here. So thank you for having me. So yeah, you're right, bright and early. I've been up since 4, so I'm good.
Oh my, were you in the gym or something?
Running outside. So that's my
man.
routine.
All you Command Chiefs just your day always starts. Y'all's day always starts at 4, and I know that because when you go TDY to like AFSA or AFA, that gym is packed full of Command Chiefs, just getting after, just sweating.
Getting it in.
Just all of y'all getting it in. Just some of y'all on the elliptical, So, you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, it don't get no easier, so you got to keep doing it.
That's like a vacation to y'all. You're like, I'm at AFSA. Like, this is Christmas. That's like the time to celebrate.
I love AFSA. Agreed.
And I can't wait for this year, Houston. I've never been to H-Town, so I'm excited about seeing that.
I am too.
And I mean, I'm a part of their official HQ team, so I'll be there. Hopefully, ideally, every year from here on out.
All right, good stuff. I'm looking forward to it.
Capture, and you were at the last one. I didn't get to talk to a lot of folks with the podcast at the last one because I got promoted, and with the promotion in AFSA came a lot more responsibility with managing the booths, the DVs, um,
Yes.
like managing the other content creators. They feed me the content, then I was posting it. And when you post, you got to go hide.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? Like I can't walk
Yeah.
through that lobby. I have ADHD and everyone recognizes me, so I can't. I literally have to go hide to post content.
Yeah. You're
You know what I
famous.
mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah. See, you're
I
famous.
love that. I love that, and you are too, by the way. I mean, how tall are you?
I'm 6'3".
You're 6'3". Can't miss you. I saw you coming a mile
No, you
away.
can't miss me. No, you can't miss me.
Like I saw you
It
about
depends how you measure
300
me.
yards out.
Sometimes I'm 6'4". Depends on when I go to the doctor. Depends, Give it a day.
It's how your back's doing that day,
Yeah, you're right about that. You are right
right?
about that. Are you sitting up right?
Right. Did you? How was your posture?
Yes.
But no, I see you about 300 yards out. But you know what else I see? Your smile. You're always happy. You're always optimistic. You're always you bring a really positive energy wherever you go. And I know it's not easy to get where you're at, right? It wasn't always smiles
Oh
to
no,
get where
definitely,
you're at, right? I know
definitely.
that. There's always that story. You
Yeah,
guys make it look easy because we're seeing the end result of a lot of work.
a lot of work.
But it was not easy for anyone to get to that point. And
Yeah,
what I appreciate about you is although I know that you probably climbed a mountain to get there,
definitely.
you still bring that like great that you seem grateful to be where you're at, and that energy just comes off you wherever you go. So I just want to thank you for being that beacon for all of us.
I appreciate that because I am extremely grateful and honored to have the opportunity to serve where I'm at. Because not many can get the opportunity, and some, they leave because it's challenging. It's many challenges, whether it's your personal life challenges or it's professional challenges. So I'm
Right.
honored. I'm grateful. I'm still having fun. I love serving airmen, and so I thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. I like complimenting you all because at your level you don't get it, you don't hear it anymore. So I like to be I like to do it for you. You know what I mean?